Hi, welcome to Epiphany Me TV. I'm Dr. Jazz, and here on my channel, I like to talk about things related to personal growth and development and everything in between. So if you like what you hear or you're inspired in any kind of way, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and share. All right, so now we're in the final part of my Blooming Lately series. And as you can see, your girl got a microphone now. So I hope it sounds much clearer on your end, but let me know in the comments below. We're here now in the final part of my Blooming Lately series. So we've talked about still evolving, still becoming, the art of backpedaling. And now this week, we're going to talk about wait and seek. Get into what that exactly means. So we've talked about still becoming, how you should give yourself grace and compassion. And then the art of backpedaling is leaning really into that blooming lately mindset where even if you have minor setbacks in life, to not look at it as a failure, to look at it as an opportunity to kind of retrack, redirect, to get in that alignment that you wouldn't have gotten in if you had kept moving forward against the grain. So what that means is, when you feel it in your heart, in your spirit, that you're just forcing a situation, whether it's work, career, relationships, whatever it is, you can feel sometimes when you're forcing the situation or when you're just trying to make it work. And you know that if you were to do with option B, in your mind, that would be backtracking or going backwards or, being in a position in life where you feel like you should have moved past. However, the art of backpedaling is reframing that mindset and looking at it as an opportunity to really, expand your growth areas, areas that you might have not been privy to or as in tune with, giving you that better insight. So, art of backpedaling, if you haven't seen that video, please go check out that latest video. So, now this week we're talking about wait and seek. So, I know we all know the popular game hide and seek. As little kids, you played the game hide and seek, and whether you were good at it or not, we all can relate to, those childhood memories of playing hide and seek with either cousins or neighborhood friends. The concept of hide and seek, I want to actually take that and apply it to this wait and seek. So, in the game of hide and seek, the whole goal of the game is to not be found. Okay, you want to try to find the best hiding place, that no one might have ever thought of. And so you want to make sure that you don't get found. However, how I'm applying it to today, you want to be found. But what do you do while you're waiting, while you're in hiding? So thinking about the same concept of hide and seek, oftentimes in life, and I don't know if you can relate to this right now. I know I feel like I'm in my waiting season. You feel like you're in hiding. So if you're really leaning into that blooming lately mindset where you're looking at your situation as like, I'm still becoming, always evolving, not operating from a fixed mindset. If you're in hiding and you're doing it that proper way, really diving deep, it can be very isolating. Healing, personal growth and development, looking at areas of your life that need improvement. A lot of times that's done in isolation. And if you're a believer, if you have any type of religious or spirituality, then you know that a lot of times God uses those seasons to really do that inner work. He'll keep you in hiding, keep you away from certain opportunities or things that you feel like you should have. However, there's still a lot of growth that you have to do until that opportunity or until that situation or whatever it might have you comes into fruition. So why wait? I know you see this popular trend where it's like operating in my free will. I have free will to make this decision. I have free will to move in this direction or whatnot. However, I want you to think twice about that when you're in waiting. Although we have free will, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's in our best interest. So why wait? Because on the other side of that waiting are those opportunities, the mindset, the style of living, whatever it is that you're waiting for is going to be even better than what you thought. And you're going to have the skill set and the mind frame to handle it on the other side of that waiting. So that's why we wait. And I'm just going to tell you, just from past experience, when I have used my free will and I was like, well, I'm in this situation, it'll be fine. I'm just going to make this decision for right now. Although I feel it in my spirit and I've prayed and I have a little inkling. It can be even just a small inkling where you have this confirmation of where this may not be the right move and you go ahead and do it anyway. In my situation and my experiences, when I've done that and when I've moved anyway, it did not go well. So when we are in that waiting season and you get tired, or if it's a job opportunity, a relationship, whatever it is, and you're like, I'm just going to jump into this, I'm just going to do it anyway. I've been waiting, I've been doing all this, I've done this the right way. This couldn't hurt. It does. In my past experiences, I've learned that when you push for it, rush things, or take an opportunity that didn't feel quite right, say if you needed it for financial reasons or whatever it is, fill in the blank, whatever it could be, when you do not wait properly or with patience or waiting until you know it feels right, it's gonna crumble. Or in my experiences, it does. For example, I've taken a job that I know was not the right decision. I was just fresh out of college, fresh out of my PhD program. You're looking for positions, and you're like, okay, I just need my start. I need my start. Just trying to get my foot in the door. However, you don't want that foot in the door to be a headache in the door, stress in the door, anxiety in the door. So, although you're just trying to get your footing, get your place, if it's not the right decision, do not go forward. I want you to think about the long term effects when we make those quick decisions of like, this is just going to be for now. I know this isn't the right move. I know it's not for me. When we do that, you can be left with long term effects. Like I said, stress, anxiety, depression, those have long term effects on your body. So that is why we wait. Now, I want to talk about how to seek. So just because you're in your waiting season and you're in that period of isolation, and it may not be complete isolation, but for the most part, it is going to feel like it's an isolating journey when you're doing that deep self discovery and you're really doing that exploratory work, trying to figure out who are you in relationships, who are you career wise, who are you as a business person, who are you as a person in general. It's going to feel kind of isolating sometimes. But anyway, when you're in that waiting period, you still seek, you still move forward, you still do things that can align you for when you get on the other side of that waiting. So, now how to seek? There are three things that you can do when you're seeking. Seeking is all about positioning, peace, and perspective. When you're seeking, you want to position yourself for what it is you're looking for. So, if it's a relationship, you want to position yourself for that marriage. That's what you're looking for. If you're looking for a long term, healthy relationship, marriage, monogamy, positioning for that would look like, let me clean up what my dating life looks like. You know, there's nothing wrong with dating, dating, getting to know people, but not taking things to the physical, but really doing that deep work of like, let's get to know each other on a really deep emotional, spiritual, mental, intellectual level. So that's what that positioning looks like. So if you're telling your friends, telling family members, telling yourself, I'm ready for long-term relationship. I want that marriage. What does your dating life or what does your life around that looks like? Are you positioning yourself for that? Are you doing that self-discovery work? Are you reading books on like, communication styles, love languages, like learning all of the things you can do to be that healthy person in a relationship? That's what I mean by positioning. The same concept applies to career or, business opportunities. Positioning for you would look like networking with people who are already in that industry, learning certain skills, maybe getting a certification in this area. So, positioning. So, you want to make sure you're positioning yourself for what it is you're seeking or hoping for. So, now the second thing, peace. So, when you're seeking, in order to seek what it is, whatever it is you're looking for, peace must be in the mix. And what do I mean by that? What does your social circle look like? In order for the proper things to plant and sprout up in your life, just like how you have to have the proper soil and moisture levels for a plant to really spring up and flourish and really reach its full potential, the same applies to your life. You have to have that peaceful environment. So if you're surrounded by chaos, How are you going to get those opportunities that will take you to the next level? Or how are you going to get this relationship that's, really rooted in, healthy communication and, longevity? You have to really surround yourself with peace. So that means looking at the people you have around you. What type of friends do you have? Okay, so clean all of that up. Make sure that you're eliminating chaos in your environment so that way the calmness and the beautiful things that you want to spring up and evolve in your life can. Okay, so if you're looking for some things to really take place in your life, take you to the next level, you have to have things in your life that represent that. So try to mimic the environment or what it is that you're hoping for. So surrounding yourself with those peaceful things, surrounding yourself with things that really promote growth, a growth within yourself, growth within your environment. And then lastly, you want to seek perspective. As you're waiting and as you're seeking, the third thing you want to lean into is perspective. So that's all what this Blooming Lately Mindset series was about. It's all about your perspective. So if you're in positioning, you're surrounding yourself with peaceful things. After you've done those things, you want to make sure you're seeking the proper perspective. So just making sure that you're leaning into that blooming lately mindset, a positive mindset, growth mindset. You don't view your circumstances as forever. You view things that are within your control as temporary. Even if you get knocked down a few times, with that blooming lately mindset, you're going to dust yourself right off, figure out another game plan. What is something I need to rework, do differently? So, your perspective, you want to make sure you're changing that perspective. Okay, so now as you're waiting and you're seeking positioning, you're seeking peace, and you're seeking perspective. Now I want you to wait and see. If you're doing those three steps properly, as you're waiting to see what's going to happen, you're going to also get little inklings, little nudges here and there that shows you that what you're doing is working. The main thing is while you're waiting and seeing, you want to make sure you don't give up. Don't forfeit the whole plan altogether. There's going to be bumps and bruises along the way, or you're going to look around sometimes and feel like you're not moving anywhere. And it takes time for whatever it is you're working towards to really reach the level that we think we should be at in our heads. It takes time. It's not an overnight success. All right, so y'all know I like to do things poetically over here, so I'm going to end out with a quick poem. Girl, you might be fed up, but don't give up. You might be burnout, but don't crash out. It's going to all make sense one day soon, but until then, you know what to do. Keep showing up, keep moving, keep answering to the call that truly speaks to you. All right, well, that ends my Blooming Lately series. Let me know what you thought about this entire series in the comments below, and let me know anything that you would like to hear more of moving forward or where you are in your life, and if this helped you in any way. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.